Everybody, it's your boy Wardy, and we're back at it with the latest Metropolitan postgame segment as the Mets take down the Washington Nationals in DC, sweeping them with ease today by a whopping score. 9-1 is your final. The Metropolitans have now matched the Nationals' season win total at 27 apiece and are only one loss behind them right now in the standings. The Mets currently 3.5 games back of a wild card spot. Might mean very little to you right now, but it does mean quite a bit to the Mets, and is exactly why they've yet to do a full-blown blow it up, a fire sale, if you will, anything along those lines at the point of here early June. This season, 1 and 2, a lot of baseball still needs to be had. The Mets get their first series sweep in what feels like this season, outside of course, winning their last series on May 7th against the Cardinals, where they took the first 2 games. The third game was rained out. My memory serves me correct, the Mets haven't swept a series up until today in a 3-game set. I could be wrong on that. If I am, let me know in the chat as always, everybody, but we have a lot to get into. We're going to break down the highlights that I'm going to show you here shortly. I just have the slide a little bit different today because I want to show the background. I really like how the setup's looking. We're going with the Mr. Smile headband today. We're going to call that the Good Luck headband. Threw it on today, pregame today, hoping to see what the Mets can do. They score 9 whopping runs here on Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals. Big win, big series, so much to get into from the highlights, getting into everything you need to know, any and by any that transpired in this ball game. Our latest pitcher report from my good friend and contributor on the channel, Isaac Rothman, is going to share some numbers with me that maybe goes beyond the eye test that you can find a lot through Baseball Savant, along with other sites, and overall just our biggest takeaways from this series sweep, everything that there is to know in between. We're also going to tell you about our amazing sponsors at Sower MLB and BetUS, and how I'm doing a Mets jersey giveaway with our great friends at BetUS, and how you guys can enter all that great stuff and everything in between. But everybody, first chiming in again, happy to have you all in here. We swept the Pirates. Okay, we did one other sweep then, but that feels like it was quite literally a century ago with the Mets and the way that they have been underwhelming every single day. It feels like every single day so far this season. So much a deep dive, a lot of excitement, and a lot of positivity for once in Mets land, as they're about to kick off their series there this weekend in London against the Phillies. So everybody first chiming in live on a replay, spam those W's. Let me see those W's in the live chat right now. People watching on replay, especially, the same applies. Yoshima, great member of 40 months. What an OG he is. Bring out the damn brooms, baby. Now let's go. Continue the immaculate vibes across the pond. You love to see it. Appreciate the love, Yoshima. As always, happy to have you in here. Spam those W's, everybody. And now let's hear from the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Shout out to my guys, Greg and Jordan, as always, with the post-game jingle. You love to hear it. You love to see it, guys. It's been so refreshing. It's been so nice to run that thing as consistently as we have over the past couple games, because the Mets just won't stop losing, baby. They may never lose a game again. Cue the sarcasm there, folks. No less. We see Cherno with the $2 haul in the chat. Thank you so much. Cherno says, let's see, start the buses. Mets swept the Pirates in April. Thank you for that, my man. I appreciate that. Again, pardon me for forgetting about the past with the way it's been so easy to forget about the Mets' previous play all the month of May, as we know. Even if that was towards the tail end of April, I don't care. This is the Mets' now second sweep so far this season. A lot to get into, everybody. Happy to have you on here. Spam those W's. Hit that like and subscribe button as your first chime in for your boy Wardy, as we come at you live with all the most consistent and daily coverage on New York Metropolitan baseball, day and night in between here. Largest platform not directly affiliated with the Mets or SNY. We're live here on Twitter as well. So to all my Twitter viewers, hit that like, that follow button, that retweet button. Thank you all so much in advance, but please know that I will only be interacting per usual with our live viewers here on YouTube. So in case you guys would like to interact with me, if you come across the stream here on Twitter, all you have to do to get involved today is to check us out on the YouTube WardyNYM platform, and thank you all so much in advance. Just give me 1 second, everybody, then we're going to start to deep dive the game inning by inning, get into all the great stuff, and go from there. I gotta say, guys, I don't remember the last time the Mets had a clear dominant win in this fashion where there was quite literally zero stress level going all the way to the 9th inning. Luis Severino gave the Mets, again, close to 8 masterful innings or so there. Not even close. He did give the Mets 8 masterful innings, as a matter of fact, because he worked a huge ground out for the final outs there in the 8th. Just cannot say enough great things on what we saw there from the Mets today, from Luis Severino on the bump, along with offensively what we saw from the boys as well. Everyone and their mother had at least one hit today. And Luis Torrens, the man that the Mets acquired from the Yankees for quite literally $100,000, I'm not joking when I say that, already has provided more offensive production than Omar Narvaez ever did when Omar Narvaez just ate around $13 million over a 2-year span, because thanks to Billy Big Bucks. Not a Billy Epler masterclass, more of a Billy Epler disaster class in hindsight, the same way Colin Holderman's off to yet another great start this season, which kills me in that Vogelback lopside traded, but I digress. Before we get into it all, everybody, I have some key updates to share with you all. Also, guys, would greatly appreciate for people watching live and for people watching replay, how do you guys like the setup? Again, I'm going to go into the highlights here shortly. As you guys can see right here, we're going to get into the highlights here in a minute. We'll break that all down inning by inning. We'll get into the numbers as well. I got the pitching stats for you, because of course I do. I got the hitting stats for you, because of course I do. And then we'll get into our amazing sponsors as so are MLB and BetUS. We'll get into BetUS in a second with their jersey giveaway. But before I do, let's hop back into this one and let's talk about the key updates in Metsland, everybody, because they are as follows. Jorge Lopez and Omar Narvaez have officially been released by the Metropolitans. So in case you're wondering, what's the latest status on that front? That is exactly that. Secondly, the Mets have activated catcher Joe Hudson to the 40-man roster, and it'll either be himself or Brett Beatty as a 27th man for the Mets and their 2-game set there in London against the Phillies. Game 1 begins around 1 p.m. Eastern or so, and Game 2 begins around 10 a.m. Eastern. So the Mets, again, get an extra player for that trip if they need them for anything. So again, it'll be Brett Beatty or Joe Hudson. Joe Hudson is not a guy that many Mets fans know, of course. I'm pretty sure he was in the Toronto Blue Jays organization in the past. Don't quote me on that, however. He's just, again, another catching option for the Mets if needed upon. But right now, it doesn't feel like that unless, again, an injury happens. Francisco Alvarez continues to chug away and gets closer and closer to returning. He can return to the Mets as soon as June 11th. So right after the London trip is when we can expect to see Alvarez back in the lineup and back being one of the best young dominant catchers in Major League Baseball. The same Francisco Alvarez who caught a combined no-hitter yesterday and his rehab stint getting the start there with the Brooklyn Cyclones, which is funny because one of the first time I ever saw Francisco Alvarez play was a couple years ago in Brooklyn behind home plate, and Alvarez had a double and a scorching home run, and it's nice to see him back there. Really, really cool. I even have a card somewhere. I don't know where I have it at the moment, but it has Beatty, Alvarez, and Mauricio on it of the three-headed monster there in Brooklyn back during the time when they were all teammates there. So that's the latest updates on that front, everybody. And then a huge update on the bullpen. And when I say huge, I have a heavy emphasis here because this guy is absolutely disgusting with his arsenal, a flamethrower, a fan favorite when healthy. Bryce Montez de Oca, folks, is looking to return sometime in the second half this season. He threw a live bullpen, and he's already hitting 96 to 98 on the gun. Mind you, this is Montez de Oca that was touching 99 a hundo on the gun here for the Mets a year plus ago, prior to going down with, if I'm not mistaken, Tommy John surgery, so which had him out for the next calendar year. Montez de Oca, a flamethrower that, if right, can be dominant for this Mets team. And speaking of a flamethrower that unfortunately is going to be on the shelf for a little bit still, Shintaro Fujinami was placed on the 60-day IL. I'm pretty sure that is retroactive to when he was first placed on the IL, but no less, again, Shintaro Fujinami, if he has any impact on the Mets at all this season, it is not going to happen until probably the second half of the year, coming back from his shoulder injury. And also, he's walking everyone their mother when he was healthy early on this season there that we saw with the Syracuse Mets. And the final update I have for you all before we get into a little bit on a Mets jersey giveaway, and then we'll break down the game inning by inning for you all. We'll get into the pitching report, then I'll answer any questions, comments, or concerns depending on how the live show goes, I may take live callers today, so we'll be on the lookout for that. But I will preface it is not a guarantee. We'll kind of feel it out with how the live show is going today. I do have a video that I plan on recording to either post tomorrow or Friday as well before the night ends, so I do want to make sure I don't waste too much time on that one either. But again, if live callers seem like that it makes sense today, we will try to take some of your calls before we wrap up the show. But before we get there, the final update for you all is Edwin Diaz. Edwin officially begins his rehab assignment tomorrow and should be back with the Mets sometime over this next week. So Edwin Diaz, who was put on the 15-day IL with a shoulder impingement, really felt like a phantom IL, but we're not going to call it that because Billy Big Bucks, of course, was kicked out of baseball for that essentially. No less, we do know Edwin Diaz struggled mightily up until his injury, so we hope to see not only a healthy Edwin back, but one that has control and most importantly confidence in his arsenal with that wipeout slider when it is right, and of course that four-seam fastball that not only has life but plenty of movement and again can touch the high 90s if not a hundo. We have yet to see Edwin get to a hundo on the gun this season. That's fine as long as he can have the pinpoint control he's had in the past. Edwin Diaz is still an electric reliever and I still have faith in him, but we all know that Edwin was looking more and more like the 2021 Edwin and then even in certain parts of 2019 Edwin, as much as it pains me to say, up until he was put on the 15-day AL with that injury, everybody. So let's deep dive it. Let's get into it. The Braves are so terrible this year. I mean, a lot of things are going wrong in Atlanta. A lot of things are going great there in Philly. The Phillies, of course, just finished a sweep there against the Brewers, and that schmuck Rhys Hoskins that we saw getting a standing no. I'm not surprised there. No less, everybody. Let's break down the ball game. Let's get into it. Let's talk about how the Mets are, in fact, playing better baseball than before and are 8 games below 500, still 3.5 out of a playoff spot. But that exact reason is exactly why the Mets are not wrapping up 2024 just yet. Now let's deep dive the game inning by inning, everybody, and we will go from there. Thank you all so much for chiming in and taking the time. Always does mean a lot. Shout out to each and every single one of you. Hope you guys like the setup today, as I mentioned. Greatly appreciate the compliments. It really does mean a lot. All right, folks, getting into the ball game. Again, we had on the bump today, Luis Severino versus everyone's favorite southpaw to face, Mr. Patrick Corbin. That schmuck hasn't done anything since winning it all in 2019, doing his best Steven Strasburg impression. But I guess if there's one thing you could say between the two, Steven, of course, had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, that type of whole thing, just like the Dark Knight himself and Matt Harvey. So his career was cooked as soon as we found that out, because pitchers have yet to come back from those type of surgeries in particular, versus a guy like here in Patrick Corbin, where he just hasn't been good. It hasn't been just a health problem with Patrick Corbin. It's been a lot of factors with Patrick Corbin. It's been leaving a lot of pitchers over the heart of the plate, absolutely looking like trash after getting a bag of a contract by the Nationals. Again, just like Strasburg, no less. Strauss has since retired, and Patrick Corbin is just going to play because the Nationals have no effing clue what to do with him. So entering today's start here, Pete Alonso gets a walk. Nothing else transpires in the first. For Luis Severino, 3 up, 3 down, baby. Strikes out C.J. Abrams, and a couple ground outs later, that does it for the first. Billy Dottie, thank you so much for the $2 holla. Billy says, this was a get-right series. Let's keep it up. You said it, boss. I'm not gonna lie, I have slight pessimism with the London trip, only because the guys are finally starting to get in a groove, and now they're gonna get their sleep schedule all messed up. They gotta go to London. They're gonna lose 5 hours of sleep too on the trip as well. I just hope the boys can stay locked in and not have crazy jet lag for the ensuing week after returning from the London trip, no matter if they win both games, split, or lose both. That's my only concern there, because the Mets finally have something starting to roll, finally something starting to give here in a positive manner, and just before we look at it and say, okay, the Mets can really get on a heater now, they have to go all the way across the pond and do a Europe trip, which again, I hope they have a great time with, and I hope they take the absolute most advantage of this opportunity. But I do have slight concern on the potential negative impact it can have with them and their sleep schedule. There's a reason why they were referencing Adam Ottavino from the last time he did a London trip, not when he was with the Mets, but I'd imagine with either Boston or with the Yanks. Instead, it took him a good week after that trip to get right, as he was delirious and all over the place. No less, everybody. As we get to the second inning here, we see Billy, thank you for the donation. Mets get nothing going there, nor do the Nationals. 1, 2, 3 for both sides. Luis Severino looking like a stud. Then, as we see in the third here, Luis Torrens, everybody, with his first home run this season. Again, the Mets are spending $100,000 on Luis Torrens' contract, and in just a week span, has more production than Omar Narvaez gave you all season long and last year combined for the most part. And I'm not really exaggerating when I say this. Narvaez. That is how horrendous Omar Narvaez was, and that is how underrated Mr. Luis Torrens is. And mind you, Torrens had a 250 average and like a 650 OPS when he was acquired by the Mets. So I know those aren't fancy numbers, but for a backup catcher, you're taking that every day of the week. And on Sundays, Torrens rips his first home run of the season, gives the Mets a 1-0 lead, and that'll be far from the last that we would see from Luis today. Again, fantastic stuff from him. Steve, thank you so much for the donation, my man. We will get to it here shortly. Appreciate your patience, my man. After a Jacob Young single, Jacob Young slapped the ball a lot of times opposite field against the Mets in this series. No less, nothing else transpires there. As we get to the fourth inning, again, another clean body of work there for Luis Severino, who gives up a single to Luis Garcia Jr., but that's all she wrote. In the fifth, we see Tyrone Taylor rips an absolute triple, his first of the season, and Harrison Bader, again, the belated birthday boy, in his birthday series, Harrison Bader balls out like never before. He has his third RBI sac fly of the series, which then gives the Mets a 2-0 lead. As we then head to the bottom of the third, a Jesse Winker single, thankfully is caught trying to steal second base because Luis Torrens, again, superior than Omar Narvaez, actually knows how to competently throw to second base. I know, low bar there. Luis Torrens, speak of the devil, he rips his second home run of the day, everybody. Gives the Mets a 3-0 lead here in the sixth inning off of Patrick Corbin. And the Mets were like, you know what? This is Patrick Corbin at the end of the day. This is kind of batting practice. So Mr. Smile, Francisco Lindor, says, first pitch swinging, how you doing? You're out of here. He rips the bomb. It becomes a 4-0 lead, and it becomes a back-to-back sequence for the Mets thanks to Torrens and Lindor with back-to-back bombs to give them a 4-run lead here in the sixth. We see Pete Alonso rips his 15th double of the season, and then we see JD Martinez rips a single. Mets have themselves a great opportunity to succeed. Jordan Weems comes in relief of Mr. Patrick Corbin, and it would not matter. Mark Vientos, my third baseman and your third baseman rather. Maybe he will be your first baseman next season. All jokes aside, all he knows right now, he's playing fine defense at third base, and he's swinging the bat tremendous every single day. Mark Vientos is making a difference, and that is what you love to see. Awesome certified random. Very happy to hear that, my man. Rambo Wardy, absolutely, you love to see it. No less, Marky V rips a single to left. It somehow gets through the third baseman and shortstop of the Nats. Right in the gap there, it trickles through. That drives in a run. Mark Vientos gives the Mets a 5-0 lead that we see here in the sixth inning. And the Mets would not stop there. Harrison Bader is out for blood. He wants 7 RBIs in his birthday series, and he does exactly that. Gives the Mets a 7-0 lead with a 2-run double. Harrison Bader's 9th gapper of the season increases the Mets lead to 7 after, again, 7 RBIs scored by Mr. Harrison Bader in this series alone. Can we just talk about how fantastic these moves have been by David Stearns? I don't want to hear one more schmuck say, oh, David Stearns made all the worst imaginable moves this offseason. Yes, were some of the moves underwhelming? Would you have liked to see more World Series type moves? Of course you do. Do you understand why the Mets didn't for the most part? I think a lot of you do understand that. But these short-term filler options, again, guys that I think we wouldn't even mind back next season, are headlined by players like Luis Severino and Harrison Bader. Bader has not only been contact king, but has been lifting the ball brilliantly this series. And what we have seen here with Luis Severino has been nothing short of a huge semi-risk, high-reward deal on that 1-year $10 to $13 million deal. It's looking like a bargain for a guy that's going to represent the Mets as an all-star by the all-star break, and I don't think that's a far-fetched thing to say either, folks. I really don't, with the way that Mr. Harrison Bader, Luis Severino, these guys have been playing, Sevy in particular there, referencing the all-star game. Love to see it. And Jose Iglesias, everybody, I meant to mention this sooner. This is yet another game. You met Mark Vientos last year and took a pic with him. That is awesome, certified random. Very, very cool, brother. We do got donations we'll get to, so I'm going to do that here in a second, guys. But before I do have to tell you one final thing, what has really stood out to me. Jeff McNeil for a third consecutive game and a fourth straight game against lefty pitching, where McNeil has thrived all throughout his career against lefties. Nah. We know he's been swinging the bat like absolute jack shit. So does Carlos Mendoza and David Stearns. And you know what? Just because Billy Upper gave him a $50 million contract extension does not mean the Mets need this man to play every day, because they are willing to eat dollars if it's going to better the club. The fact that Jose Iglesias, a 34-year-old 34-year-old veteran infielder is having a stronger immediate impact in a short period of time than what McNeil gave you outside of a couple games this season is not only alarming for McNeil's fate in the organization, but a huge kudos and tip of the cap to the veteran and Mr. Yes, Jose Iglesias, as he drives in the Mets' 8th run of the day. This time an opposite field RBI single gives the Mets again a 8-0 deficit here against the Nationals, and you love to see it. So for all the people that want Jeff McNeil off the team, don't want him as an everyday player, you're in luck, because all the stars are currently aligning for Jose Iglesias to continue to play and for Jeff McNeil to continue to ride the pine. Do I think Jeff will play at least one of the games there in this weekend in London? I do think that'll happen, but I love the accountability by both David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza. One, I love the aggressive move to DFA Omar Narvaez prior to Francisco Alvarez returning, because it's those kind of aggressive moves that make a difference when a Luis Torrens has single-handedly helped the Mets win multiple ball games already this past calendar week. A lot of tip of the cap to not only those latest moves, but also, again, the Danny Yuns of the world that was yet again productive in this bullpen. Luis Severino that we discussed, Harrison Bader. A lot of savvy, smaller moves the Mets have made are paying dividends for them, and it couldn't come at a better time for a team that, again, was 10 games under just a couple days ago, can be 10 games under after the weekend, but until we get there, this Mets team is trending right now in the right direction. And before we break down more in the ball game, what's so special about Joe Hudson? Nothing's so special about Joe Hudson. He's just a third catching option that they want in case someone goes down with injury in their trip there in London, which is why they're pondering him as a potential 27th man over Beatty. But we'll see what happens on that front. Steve Lawn, great follower of mine. I know exactly who you are, Steve. Thank you for the donation. Hey, Wardy, I'm a positive fan, but this isn't that's what you're talking about. They'll need to win close to 60% of their games going forward for a wild card spot. June is make or break for them. I 100% agree. June is make or break for them. But you want to know the crazy thing? June might be make or break for the Mets, but this division is doing everything that humanly possible to keep the Mets not only in it, but to keep the Mets from complete fire selling by the trade deadline. You're 3.5 out of a playoff spot right now. You are 1 loss behind the Nationals right now. The Mets are right in the thick of things as a team that can still push for playoffs should they get on a run. And yes, it's always great to do well, even if it's against lesser opponents, but I would argue that the Mets have played so piss poor consistently this year that I don't know what their ceiling is going to be. So when we look at, okay, it was against the Nationals, all right, but let's not forget the Mets have been so underwhelming that we will take series wins against everyone and their mother. It doesn't matter who it's against right now. It's just a matter of actually doing it and going from there. So for the time being, until we see more drastic changes with the team because they free fall again per se, or they get on an absolute heater and make things very interesting with how they may potentially go to be a buyer by the deadline and not just a seller, we will worry about those things once we get there. In the meantime, let's talk about a team 8 games below 501, but 2 only 3.5 out of a playoff spot. And the only reason why I emphasize that is because I promise you that goes in hand with the Mets' way of thinking and has one in hand with the Mets' way of thinking entering this season as a whole. You just got to be a couple games above 500 to crack that wild card spot. And as long as the trend continues in the direction it's been out of the NL right now, that is once again going to be the case for a 3rd consecutive year. Year 1, it was the Phillies. Year 2 was the Diamondbacks. Will year 3 be the Mets or will it be someone else? We'll find out as the course of the season goes on. Andrew Clark, thank you so much for the donation. Relatively new listener, big fan. Background looks great. Thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the donation. Happy to have you here, my friend. Always happy to see new followers here on the channel. Love to see my recurring viewers, too. Always love to have this balance going, as we always do. You guys are the best. But now let's get back into breaking down the ball game. Got to give Mendoza credit for not hesitating on the latest roster moves for sure. Again, credit, tip of the cap where it's due, not only for Mendoza, for David Stearns and everybody. And that is the type of collaboration between a manager and a GM we were just never getting with Epler and Vogelback, not nearly to the same degree. A lack of stubbornness from the managerial front and a positive and a thorough, authentic viewpoint as the president of baseball operations and David Stearns is exactly why the Mets are having these kind of short successes with these immediate changes versus what they wouldn't have had in the past and let guys play far too longer than they should have. I keep missing the post-game jingle. I'm sorry, Ricky. I know you love to hear it, brother. I know you do. All right, you know what? I'll be nice. Ricky's an absolute OG. He comes here just for the jingle. We're going to run the post-game jingle one more time, and then we'll break down more of the ball game and then we'll get into the Mets giveaway. We'll talk about some pitching. We'll talk about some hitting. We'll talk about Sober MLB, our great sponsor, because we're doing awesome stuff with them. I'll take your questions, and then I'll get my butt out of here because we got more content to make. We got a big off day the next couple days here. Probably also, just bear in mind, everybody, either tomorrow or Friday, we will be doing a Phillies-Mets series preview show, so be on the lookout for that. Very excited for it, but that is separate from pre-record content that I have planned for you all. Let's see. I did play the jingle, but we will play it one more time. Let's cue it, everybody. Let's play together. You love to hear it. Shraken, great member of 35 months, says, told everyone about Vientos, but they want him gone. I'll be the first to say, I discussed Vientos in a lot of trade proposals. Again, there was obvious reason for that for a guy that seemed like he couldn't handle third base to save his life. Things have changed since then, so the same way things have changed in a positive manner for the Mets with certain young players is the same way my viewpoint changes. I will just say, for me personally, I did predict Mark Vientos having a better season this year offensively and all things considered than Brett Beatty. That was a hotter take that I had heading into the year, and right now it is still holding true. One final update I have for you all before we get back into breaking down the ball game, because I meant to mention this sooner, and I want to make sure I don't forget, because my ADD will make sure I forget if I don't say it right now. You know how you guys just need to let something off your chest sometimes, and if you don't, you're going to forget in 2 seconds? That's me every single day with the stuff I talk about, I feel like. Pull on the headband. You like it, Emerson? I like you, brother. Thank you so much. I honestly was just cleaning up the room today, changing up the setup a little bit. I have 2 of these bad boys, and I have the Francisco Lindor bobblehead that is out of frame at the moment. But you guys can see here, I haven't planted the grass yet for it. But I also got the headband, if I'm not mistaken. Or there were 2 giveaways I both got last year. But let's talk about some key updates here briefly. There was a new top 100 prospects list broken today by Baseball America. Baseball America is one of the best platforms to find prospect coverage, content, articles, everything in between on. Highly implore you all to check them out. Their lists are very accurate and very important to evaluate, in my opinion. And they came out with their new top 100 prospect rankings and has 6 Metropolitans in the rankings, 2 of which that were in there last time around are not this time, that being Luis Angel Acuna and Ryan Clifford. Acuna, I understand more to a degree because he has been underwhelming in parts of the season. Ryan Clifford has been on an absolute heater. He has been on base 12 of his past 13 games there in the minor leagues and did hit a home run today, so something to bear in mind. But going through the rankings, everybody, what I'm very excited to share is the following. Brandon Sproat, one of the best pitching prospects for the Mets, and I'd even argue in Major League Baseball, getting close to doing my best James Shiano impression, my man James from the Mets podcast. We love Brandon Sproat. He's a flamethrower. He came off of a truly masterful outing the other day. Pardon me. Sproat has some of the best stuff in the entire organization. That is not far-fetched to say. He comes in at 97 now on the rankings. At 94, Blade Tidwell. Tidwell, of course, was just moved up to AAA Syracuse of recent. Tidwell is, again, one step closer to making his Major League debut, which I think will happen before the end of the season. Drew Gilbert, who of course has missed a good portion of the season thus far with injury. Gilbert, as of course, is a guy that we know is our top outfield prospect, acquired in the Justin Verlander trade last year. He's ranked at 74. At 32, we have the man that has missed the majority of the season as well with a wrist injury, Jet Williams. Jet the Met, baby. We love ourselves some Jet Williams. He comes in at number 32, the infielder, and at number 27, but number 1 out of the top 6 prospects for the Mets. Kristen Scott, who I don't even view as a prospect. I view him as a true starter in this rotation. He'll be called up right after the London trip. Kristen Scott here is ranked 27th per Baseball America. Highly implore you all to check it out. Sprout Goat, you love to see it. Absolutely. What grass? What kind of grass? Yes, with the Lindor bobblehead in particular, they gave away basically, like a chia pet. They gave away grass seeds so you guys could plant and grass will actually grow around this thing. You see how it is? So that's how it works. Again, love the bobblehead. This came out a year ago or so. Haven't done anything with it yet. but hopefully it will. And you guys can slowly watch it grow here on the WardyNYM platform. So we'll have some fun with that. How sweep it is, William. You love to see it. Look at you, Wardy, rocking the cool headband. Team's recent wins will increase confidence, a lead to better play from now on, not only with the Mets, but with me too. Trust me, a week ago, I'm never wearing this damn headband on the show. I said, you know what? I might look a little beat today. The hair might be a mess, but you know what? I have the headbands. They're kind of sick. I mean, look at them. We got the Met. I want to be Francisco Lindor as much as humanly possible. I would love a $325 million contract, right? Even if I don't live up to it. Love you, Lindor. Not ragging on you there. Just feeding into the Lindorks out there. Cough, cough, priest on the plane in the chat. You know who you are. Cough, cough. All right, guys. Let's get back into breaking down the ball game because we don't have too much more to break down. We're up 8-0 here at this point, right? So hopping back into it, Joey Gallo with the single in the 6th. That's all she wrote. In the 7th, Francisco Lindor with yet another hit. Francisco Lindor, who we debunked yesterday for any schmucks that think he has been doing well in the leadoff spot. Oh, he absolutely has. Yeah, as of yesterday, had an 850 OPS and over 310 average in the leadoff spot for the Mets so far this season, and that's only getting better by the day with him having yet another productive offensive day. Lindor with a single, Alonso with a walk, Brandon Nimmo with a hit by pitch, bases loaded, no outs for JD Martinez and JDM, who of course carried now a 10-game hitting streak today, which is what you love to see. JD unfortunately has a double play ball there, allows a run to score on fielder's choice. He doesn't get the RBI, however. JDM again, a less than ideal at bat there, but I'm not going to nitpick when we're up 9-0, okay? If we're going to have a double play with bases loaded, no out, that is probably the one time where I'll say I will allow it to happen. I won't be as pissed as I usually am. In the 7th, another 1-2-3 for Luis Severino, who's been looking absolutely fantastic. Jose Iglesias gets on base yet again with a walk in the 8th. That's all she wrote, though. Then the bottom of the 8th, Sevy just doesn't have the stuff, but gets out of his jam, not nearly as bad as what it could have been. He gives up a single to Ruiz, to Winker, to Vargas. It's bases loaded, no outs here in the bottom of the 8th. And a Joey Gallo sac fly deep makes this a 8-run deficit for the Nationals. But thankfully, a Jacob Young schmuck double play ends the inning, folks. And then as we get to the 9th inning, we have the Mets not getting anything on the offensive end. You get Danny Young in the 9th inning. He works beautifully. A strikeout, a ground out, and a line out. And that is how the Metropolitans secured the series sweep and secure finally, only 8 games below 500. You know how much I've been joking with you guys, how we just got to get to 5 games below 500, and then we're really rolling. If this Mets team climbs itself back, if this Mets team gets themselves to 5 games below 500, 3 games below 500, now we're really talking. Because then it's showing you, okay, they are finding some consistency. They are finding some ways to win. And while I still have major gripes and major overall concerns with this team and organization this year, doesn't change the fact that winning solves a lot of problems, especially if the winning is consistent and isn't Jekyll and Hyde in the sense of, oh, we just swept the Nationals, now let's go get swept by the Phillies. Let's get swept in our next series after that. Like, if that happens, that just further validates why the Mets should go full-blown seller this year. But if that doesn't happen, and they have not only a positive June and above 500 record in June, but really make things interesting, only say a couple of games out of the wild card, currently sitting at 3.5, we have a greater discussion we had as we get into the crunch time in July, your final month before you lead to the first week of August, which is the trade deadline. So a lot to get into there, as we always will. Jeff, is he the problem? I love McHits, but gotta wonder. I love Jeff as a person. I've loved him in his prime, but I'm here to tell you that the Jeff McNeil era in Queens, again, if it isn't done yet, it feels like it's getting almightily close to that point. Can McNeil take advantage of this opportunity now as a true utility man off the bench, losing playing time day by day versus a guy that, again, did not expect that much playing time, if at all, in Queens this season, and Mr. Jose Iglesias. But when the bar is as low as it's been for McNeil, that does nothing that a true 300 hitter should be doing. That is what's warranted a veteran infielder in Iglesias getting the playing time and maximizing that opportunity, feeling like a true rookie, as he has said himself in the clubhouse. I mean, I've never seen a 30-year-old veteran infielder in Major League Baseball collect his first hit with a new team the way I saw Jose Iglesias do it. Very bizarre, but I'm here for it. I love the vibes. Thank you, Jose. That is awesome. The same way it's awesome to see the Mets riding high with Jose Iglesias, and you can just tell, not having a glaring hole of a guy, not trying to swing for the fences as a contact hitter out there every time, not going under pitches the way that Jose Iglesias certainly isn't. Again, as I say it all the time, everybody, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And for the Mets right now, things are working. Don't change the formula. Just let it continue to roll and go from there. Someone says, Mets are now a top half team in offense, 13th in OPS, 15th in batting average, 13th in OBP, 11th in slug, 7th in home run, 13th in runs scored, and 13th in RBI. You know what's such a damn shame, everybody? Zach, thank you so much for the stats there. We appreciate that. Shout out to Zach with a quick hitting stats here in the live show on the WardyNYM postgame show. Hit that like and subscribe button as you guys first chime in, or as you leave. Thank you so much in advance for doing so. What I love so much about those stats is that we know the Mets have been providing far more consistent offense the past number of weeks. But we also know that the Mets, again, didn't blow at least the 9 save opportunities that they've had this year, or at least where they were winning a game past the 7th or 8th inning, they would be around 500, if not above 500 right now. So we know this Mets team not only has qualities to be a 500 ball club, if not higher, but we know that they drastically underperformed for a good period of time, and that underperformance, of course, was never going to stay consistent all year round. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad like last year in 2023. It might. Again, we're 8 games below 500. Yet, as crazy as it is to say, I have still more optimism with this Mets team and trying to find a way than at any point last year with the Mets. They just felt like such a failure from not only an organizational standpoint, but in-house, the imbalance between the GM and the coach became glaring in Vogelbach and other situations. Whereas, at least with Mendoza and Stearns, while we, of course, can critique them in various avenues that we want so far this season with the underwhelming play, what we really can't critique is their lack of effort, because that hasn't been there. They have been making the proper changes and have been going out of their way to make, abrupt proper changes if need be to better the club for tomorrow than what it was today. And those are the little things that I appreciate, not only in a front office, but the collaboration between itself and a manager. So that, of course, is what you like to see. The same way, guys, that we like to see before we get into our pitching report, guys, let me tell you right now how you guys and gals have a great chance. Again, we will be announcing a winner over the next week or so. So sometime next week is when we'll be announcing a winner. So you don't have a lot of time for this, everybody. I'm telling you right now, I can count on my hand the amount of people that have already signed up for this, which is very little. So if you guys go out your way to sign up today and do what I'm about to tell you, your chance to win a Metropolitan jersey of any player you want on the roster is far greater than ever before. And that's thanks to our amazing sponsor on the channel at BetUS. BetUS has you covered with all your sports betting needs. Make sure to check them out today by clicking the link down below to get a 125% bonus on not your first, not your second, but your first 3 deposits. And as you guys can see here, we got, again, a nice card this weekend. Jared Cannonier there on the bump, not on the bump, what am I saying? He is going to be the main event there against I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce the other guy's last name there for UFC 88 this weekend there. This is a free card, of course, fight night that you guys can watch on ESPN. Of course, UFC 303, that's had a lot of drama with Conor McGregor and others. That is still ways away at the moment, but it's still happening at the moment. We went 3 for 3 in our UFC bets this past weekend for UFC 302. Hope you guys checked them out there. And we have been absolutely hammering with a lot of our latest picks, guys. As we get into our picks that I like for tomorrow, everybody, all you got to do for your chance to enter a free Mets jersey giveaway today is 2 simple steps. It is 1, signing up to BetUS today by clicking my unique link in the description today of the live show on YouTube. Whenever you guys get a chance at your earliest convenience, placing 1 bet. Again, I don't care how much money you spend on the bet. It can be $1, it can be $1,000. Whatever you want's fine by me. Of course, just bet responsibly. And then your second step, just send me a screenshot of proof that you have a BetUS account and that you placed a bet. That's all you got to do. Send it to my email that is available in the description of the live show here on YouTube, but I'll spell it out for you. It is drawt7@protonmail.com. So DRAW, letter T, number 7, at Proton, PROTON, mail, MAIL.com. Again, and that is drawt7@protonmail.com. Send me a screenshot for your chance to win a Metropolitan jersey of any player currently on the team that you would like, and we will be announcing the winner probably by mid next week. So again, guys, you won't have a lot of time to enter, and it's only going to be the people that go out of their way to send me a screenshot. Again, only a couple people have right now. So this versus a channel giveaway where it's anyone on the channel that's a public subscriber, we're talking your chance out of thousands of people versus your chance out of, say, 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 people. Again, it is not all that difficult to do those simple steps, guys. And it's a great, easy way for your chance to win a roughly $200 jersey for free from your boy Wardy. So sign up now if you haven't already. Place your bet and send it to me over email. And good luck to you all that enter with our great friends at BetUS. But to hop back into this one, everybody, let's see what you guys got for me. Love the 320 average, but you see the attitude and the results of the last few games and wonder 100% Mr. Nobody. Couldn't agree with you more. The difference I see with these new guys is that they're hungry and it's contagious. Yes, it is contagious. The same way it's contagious when they're going right is the same way it's contagious when they're going wrong, I feel like. This Mets team has really struggled to pick each other up when things are going bad, at least what we have seen performance-wise. But again, when things are going right, they hit in bunches, which is pretty sick. It is something that I personally do love and appreciate. I hope it's something that, again, continues for this Mets team, as they're not going to head to London for a massive series now against, yes, that being and none other than, of course, that being in the Philadelphia Phillies. A Phillies team that has been, in a lot of ways, the best team in baseball. They've been so dominant in the National League, especially at home in Citizens Bank Park. They have just been taking care of business with absolute ease, and it has been an absolute opposite of a treat to watch. It has been a displeasure to watch, and I would love nothing more than for the Mets to roll into London and have themselves an awesome, entertaining series here against the Phillies, but record at minimum one victory, if not get this series sweep there in that 2-game set. You beautiful SOB, our Mets are back. My man Darren, speak of the devil, that'll be in London. This is a hike for my man too. We were just talking earlier. Everybody, get some love, get some hype in the chat for my great members. Daniel, all things Mets as always. Steven, D, everybody chiming in. Thank you all so much, but especially my man Darren, the best Mets fan from the UK you guys and gals will ever meet. My man Darren is pumped up. He is going to be at least one of those London games. Your boy lives across the pond as is, so he's going to be having a blast. I cannot wait to see what's in store for him. Darren, absolute beauty. Happy to have you in here, brother. Thank you so much. My hair looks like Bartolo Colon's hair. That's a compliment every day of the week if you're talking about big sexy over here, guys. But again, shout out to you all, and I appreciate you guys taking the time. And what I just realized, I'll hop back in this just for a second, everybody. We never placed a bet. So even though I was promoting, of course, the jersey giveaway, let's talk briefly about some bets that I like for tomorrow. Love the Yanks against the Twins once again. Braves against the Nationals there. I mean, if the Nats weren't, playing the way that they were right now, I would consider them more on the spread because the Braves have not been playing great baseball. Dodgers and Pirates again. That's an interesting one. Dodgers, of course, lost to Paul Skeens today, or I believe are about to. We, of course, got the Mariners in there against the Athletics. That is tonight. I actually like that a lot for tonight. I'm going to take the M's against the A's outright on minus 157, and I'm going to pair that with a game tomorrow, and the game tomorrow that I'm going to pair that with is with the Yankees outright victory over the Twins. 2-leg parlay is what I'm hammering, everybody. Of course, guys and gals, bet responsibly, bet at your own risk with our great friends at BetUS. A $20 bet wins me $35.32. So again, guys, bet responsibly. Feel free to tail should you wish. Let me know what your bets are if they're separate from mine with our great friends at BetUS, and make sure that you guys and gals bet today. But now hopping back in this one, folks, what I want to get into now is a bit on the pitching. What has stood out there? What has stuck out to me? What am I liking the most on the pitching front? Let's deep dive this bad boy, shall we? And it starts with here, Luis Severino. We're talking about pure dominance, everybody. A Sevy masterclass to start off your Wednesday, and that's exactly what we could all hope and love for. What we see here from Sevy today, I love the light behind me too. It's looking like I'm glowing side to side. I think that was like not a fully purposeful lineup, yet it looks perfect. So we'll take that. A lot of W's today on the platform. I'm loving it. Sevy again going 8 innings, 7 hit, 1 earned run ball, 0 walk, 4 strikeout, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, before even getting into the numbers, this is an easy, and I mean an easy 9.5 out of 10 start by Luis Severino. The only reason why I didn't have him 10 out of 10 is because the 10 out of 10 is saved for guys that give me complete game shutouts, or of course give me a no-no, a combined no-no, something along those lines. But Severino was nothing short of not only brilliant, dominant, but once again proving why he's a guy the Mets should try to keep should they not be full-blown sellers by the deadline, 1, and 2, try to bring him back for the 2025 season rather, because Sevy has been absolutely brilliant. Deron Rivera, thank you so much for the $5 haul. My man says, Wardy, how you feel about Nunez closing, I like Danil Nunez. I don't hate the idea of closing, and furthermore, Rivera, I like that idea, especially if we don't have consistency there. Sign me up. Danil Nunez is a flamethrower. I know that, again, he's not a guy that you want in high leverage all the time, but if he continues to build himself up this season, I wouldn't hate the prospect of seeing him get in there every once in a while and see what happens from there. So, love to see that. Let's see, everybody. Let's see. I took SD -1.5 in Seattle money line. Good luck, Daniel. Wishing you the best with your bets. But talking about Severino here, everybody, his arsenal was as follows today. Shout out to Isaac Groffman at Isaac Groffman, Groffman, 2 A's and Isaac and 1 C. And of course, Isaac. Great supporter, great contributor on the channel. He's watching. He's a beauty. Arsenal is 45% with the sinker. Four seam was 28%. Changeup was 10%. Cutter was 8%. Sweeper was 7%. Slide piece was 3%. Sevy continued that fastball-heavy approach today. And mind you, Sevy was touching 98 on the gun all the way until he exited today. In after the 8th inning. Just masterful stuff here from Sevy. He threw mostly sinkers tonight in an effort to take advantage of the aggressive Nationals lineup, and that went completely in his favor. You know, he has thrown fastballs, four seams, sinker, and cutters 68% of the time this year. Heavy heater guy, and again, has had success in doing so, which is what we appreciate. You know, he mixes his usage on those three heaters as well. The four seam early in the count, sinkers to get that soft ground out, that soft induced contact, and the cutters to, of course, get those whiffs, mostly against lefties in those one-on-one matchups. His sinker especially, which is a newer pitch for him this year, has been quite effective. A 198 BABIP, which is, of course, batted balls in play, which goes along with the 91% O-swing percentage, which is swings outside the zone. Furthermore, he has not really established any of his off-speed pitches as legit put-out pitches this year, but thankfully that hasn't been him in the ass all that much to this point in the season. A 50% whiff rate on the sweeper tonight, although he only threw it just 4 times, and for now, Severino's fastball-heavy strategy is working. It may get exposed, but for now, as I've been saying with everything else, if it ain't broke, why fix it, baby? Severino, just a fantastic outing. My man Isaac gave him a 10 out of 10. I'm personally giving him a 9.5 out of 10. I would love to hear your thoughts here in the live show. And for people watching on replay, how would you rate Luis Severino's brilliance today? Would love to hear it. And a quick word on Danny Young here. Another great inning of work for him, having yet to give up an earned run since being caught up by the Mets this season. That sweeper that he had in his last outing with 135 stuff plus and 23.8 inches of horizontal movement, you know, just absolutely disgusting this past outing. He's looked brilliant, just about 2 feet of movement. And when I say 135 stuff plus, again, league average. So stuff plus in a nutshell, for those that don't know, is different types of pitches for a pitcher. So if you had a 100 stuff plus on, say, your sweeper, that means it is league average across the board. If you have 135, in which Danny Young has had, that means it's 35% better than the average pitcher in baseball with that exact pitch of the sweeper. If you have below league average, that is below 100. So again, well above league average with that sweeper that, again, has so much break. You'll love to see it. Danny Young, a thing of beauty. We will take that for certain. Danny Young has been very impressive. Again, this is a lefty that might save the Mets in a year where they lost Brooks Raley, not only for the rest of the season due to injury, but probably the last time Brooks Raley will ever pitch here in Queens, as much as it pains me to say, knowing that he was in a walk year. All right, guys, let's talk about the offense a little bit, because this was fun, too. A lot of positives to take away, and the offensive showing by the Metropolitans today. It was as follows. The Mets out-hit the Nationals today, 11-7, and normally the Mets are the team with 7 hits and only 1 earned run, but the tides have finally started to turn. And yes, that is in fact true. The Mets got at least 1 hit from everybody in their lineup today, and Francisco Lindor, of course, with the home run, and the 2 runs scored, 2 hits on the day, 235 average for Mr. Smile, and a 712 OPS on the season. Mind you, this is a Francisco Lindor that was far from in a position to be having these numbers again a month plus ago. He has come a long way in that leadoff spot and has quite literally been transforming his offensive approach, and it could not have come at a better time. He has been unbelievably fantastic in that role in the leadoff since the Mets have put him there. And again, mind you, this was prior to today's game. Francisco Lindor had a 311 average, a 381 OBP, a 473 slug for 854 OPS, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs. You can add an 11th RBI to that one now. And the leadoff spot that we have seen this season, Francisco Lindor continues to climb, batting leadoff. And that is what we greatly appreciate and what we love to see. Speaking of doing well, Pete Alonso, I got to give a lot of credit today. I know that we speed ran the game, of course, and I didn't really highlight this, but Pete Alonso was tremendous at first base today. Made 3 fantastic plays at the bag, and Alonso, while he can be Jekyll at Hyde at times with his defense, has been absolutely superb, even when the offense hasn't been consistent and hasn't been there nearly as much as you'd hope. Thankfully, the defense has been strong, to say the least. Alonso 1 for 3 today with a couple walks as well and a double, 238 average and just under 800 OPS on the season in his walk year. Brandon Nimmo 1 for 4 today for Brandon with a 222 average, 735 OPS, always playing great defense in left or center. Mr. JD Martinez continues to hit bid to 10 straight games. How you doing? With a run scored, a 281 average and a just under 800 OPS as well. Mark Vientos simply cannot go a game without getting on base or being productive offensively. Marky V 1 for 4 with the RBI single and a couple Ks, 333 average and an over 1,000 OPS this year. Tyrone Taylor with his first triple of the season was his lone hit of the day. 235 average, 611 OPS, came in late for Sterling Marte. Marte was a late scratch today with, a little bit of a banged up knee, some soreness there, something going on with his knee. Was still available off the bench, but thankfully the Mets were able to give Marte a day in advance to get ready for this London trip. Harrison Bader with a tremendous day at the plate yet again, and defensively 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a double, 272 average and just under 700 OPS for the contact king and Harrison Bader. Jose Iglesias 1 for 3 as well, 389 average at 865 OPS, including that RBI single to opposite field. And Luis Torrens, again, who would have thought Luis Torrens would be this productive? Now we actually have somewhat of a good discussion we had between Luis Torrens and Tomas Nido as who should stay on the roster once Alvarez, again, is here. Again, the Mets kind of have a tough decision. I feel like they're going to go with Nido because Nido still knows his pitching staff better than Torrens by a mile. I'd imagine that Nido is a better defensive catcher slightly than Torrens. I'm sure he's a better framer. Torrens does have a strong arm, though, and has provided solid offense. So a good problem to have if you're David Stearns and the Mets right now to not have anything clear-cut in their decisions. That is never a bad thing for a team trying to work on themselves once Francisco Alvarez is back in the mix of things. But Torrens with a 300 average and over 1,300 OPS, and that wraps up what you got on the offensive end. A lot to love on the offensive end for the Mets here, and they look to continue their winning ways in a 2-game set beginning this Saturday around 1 p.m. Eastern time or so against, yes, the Philadelphia Phillies. So you hop back into this one, though, everybody. Let me make sure everything's set and we are good. Torrens has to be backup catcher. Again, it's a good problem to have. Again, I'm not gonna be stubborn. I'm not gonna gripe too heavily one way or the other. I will just tell you this: I think Luis Torrens has been very impressive in a short period of time, but I also think that Tomas Nido has also been fantastic in his own right. And this entire sample size is being called upon by the Mets after Alvarez went down with injury. So, for Nido, I think Nido deserves this. But Torrens, and this is where things get interesting, what is better for the team? I think defensively, understanding the organization, Nido gets the edge for those reasons. But I really hope and wish that there's a way to keep Torrens in the fold should Nido falter, or just hope that he can be cleared and, again, be sent down outright. But the Mets have an issue here. Again, either way, whoever the Mets decide not to keep, I could see being picked up, especially with the way Nido has played. Nido doesn't have any minor league options left, so he can be picked up outright off waivers by a team. So either way, I think the Mets are going to lose a catcher in the end in this one, and that might be a shame considering both have been playing some solid baseball. But whatever is best for this team is fine by me. Torrens can play other positions if you need him to. Yes, that is true. But again, not something that I'm sure he would be able to comfortably do, nor do the Mets want to do that with a guy that, there's still a reason why they're paying $100K at the end of the day for. Also insane how $100K salary that you picked up is far more productive than the $8 million absolute disgusting salary hit, which is Omar Narvaez. Hey, Wardy, he can play other positions. Yes, I have heard. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I'm sure he can get some reps at first base, maybe corner, maybe left field. Just spitballing without knowing for certain the other positions that he plays. I'll have to do my homework on that one. But no less, if that is going to be the game changer in Torrens being on the roster, okay. But I do think that Nido has still earned his right to a degree. And I think a lot of people understand and agree there. So either way, good problem to have. Not going to complain too much one way or the other. Just interested to see what decision the Mets make next week once Narvaez is activated and back with the team. But guys, it is now time to take your questions or comments and concerns. I'm going to leave it up to you guys pretty much up until we get around the hour mark of the live show. So we still got 6-7 minutes. I would love to take whatever comments you guys and gals got for me. Any specific questions, any specific remarks, anything like that, I would greatly love to hear it. Did I hear, let's see, what Severino said about Trent's calls? No, but I will check that out right now. And I'm glad that you asked that. Thank you so much. One thing I love so much about the post-game shows is when you guys fill me in on things that happen in live time that I missed because I was talking to you guys, breaking down the game. So let's see. Speaking on Terens, Severino remembers beating Luis Terens in ping pong during their time together in Yankees minor league system. That's hilarious. I love that. Let's see here. I don't know if there's anything else outside of that quote regarding Terens and Sevy. If so, that's hilarious. And speaking of Luis Severino, he had the following quote to say, and I'll actually let you guys hear it. So give me 1 second. The simple answer to why the Mets can't hit on at home the way that they do on the road, Citi Field is where everything goes to die. That's why. Between the players having mixed emotions with the fans, along with Citi Field being more of a pitcher's park than a batter's box, that is where we have a problem. And I've spoken about that greatly over the past week on the channel. Good question, though. But in simple terms, without really deep diving numbers, that goes in hand as to why. The Mets have just labored mightily handling all the weather that comes at Citi Field earlier in the season. Again, just how much the wind can blow, how much they hate the batter's eye, plenty of them, and how much, again, this is far more of a pitcher's park than a batter's park. Let's see if I can play you guys some quotes from Luis Severino today. Give me 1 second.
For the team, it's your first 3-game sweep since that Pirates series way back. Do you feel like you're playing your best baseball right now?
Oh, yes, we are. I mean, we win 3 games in a row, and we got a chance to win 4. So that's huge for us. I was telling the guys that when we combine hitting and pitching at the same time, I mean, it's huge for us. So I feel like if we can do this for, I mean, it's not going to happen, every day, but we have this mentality now that we have to go out there and give 100% every time.
Okay, that was the latest quote from Luis Severino there. I didn't hear it, but it did seem like it was going through. Why do I still see desktop audio going? Give me 1 second, everybody. My apologies if you guys hear it running again. Are we good? Why is this? Hold on, can everybody just let me know real quick in the chat? Did you guys hear when I was trying to play the Sevy interview or no? If not, no worries. That just means I didn't have something set up properly. So give me 1 second.
For the team, it's your first 3-game sweep since that Pirates series way back. Do you feel like you're playing your best baseball right now?
Oh, yes, we are. I mean, we win 3 games in a row, and we got a chance to win 4. So that's huge for us.
Okay. Do I believe Acuna will be called up at some point this season? Oh, it's still going? Okay. Why is it still... Okay, let me just delete the tab outright then. My apologies about that, everybody. I don't know why it was still running like that. My bad. My apologies. But there we go. That was a quote there from Luis Severino. I mean, name a week where Nido hit 2 home runs in a game and threw out runners. Granted, he didn't hit 2 home runs in the game, but he almost hit 2 home runs in a game a week ago. He was very close to, as a matter of fact, and he has been very good overall. So again, I get what you're saying. Terens has had a better overall breakout game, a singular game than we have seen so far from someone like Tomas Nido this season. I won't argue with that, and that's fine. Okay, and thank you guys for the update on the audio. Now I'm going to just answer whatever comments you got for me for the next couple minutes. Then we will wrap things up. Nido has improved, but he can't throw out guys. What's the news regarding Drew Gilbert? Again, still working his way back, and that's pretty much it right now. I haven't seen any crazy updates on the Gilbert front, nor have I seen Jet Williams. All I know with Jet Williams with the latest is that he got a second cortisone shot, and we're kind of waiting a word from there. Terens has fastest release I've seen on the Mets on catchers. Okay, that's fair. It's not clean. Listen, it really low. Oh, it was low? Okay. Thank you, Ricardo. Appreciate that. Wardy, come to Citi Field July 13th against the Rockies. Me and my teammates are being honored on the field for our fantasy camp championship. Steve, that's awesome. Very, very happy to hear that, my man. We'll hope and try to be there, Steve. And Steve, now that you said that, I know exactly who you are, my man. I know that you gave me a very generous offer earlier this season as well regarding Doc. So thank you again for that, because I recognize the last name right away. Hope you're doing well, and yes, I will definitely try to be there. We'll be back hitting games in July because going to be on daddy duty plenty. I am expecting sometime this month, so June will be very hectic for me, but by the time we get out of June and into the month of July and August, I'm going to be trying to hit plenty Mets games as well as humanly possible, so hopefully we have entertaining baseball to discuss and break down over that period of time, right? Or else I'm just going to go out of my way to Citi Field when I reside in Pennsylvania just to see them do absolute piss poor things on the offensive and pitching approach. So hopefully we don't see that. Hopefully we don't. Hope you guys like the little setup I got here. I'm going to be ever changing this. I have a little mini fridge right here that perfectly cuts off, so it's like a little desk setup. I got a bunch of things here. I got a Ahmad Rosario and Michael Conforto bobblehead with the Brooklyn Cyclones there. It's kind of ironic when I have Lindor right next to him. I do have back-to-back Cy Young award-winning bobbleheads of Jacob deGrom right there. And let's see there. We have the 2018, and we have the, was it 2019 or 2020? It was 29. Was it 2019 or 2021? I think it was 2019. Did Jake go back-to-back? I keep forgetting. Hold on. Am I going wrong, guys? Can you guys please enlighten me for a second on Jake? Because I know he, of course, had his one in 2018. Did he go back to, was it 2018, 2019? And that was that? If I'm wrong, that's fine. Another day that ends on Y. Just curious. Also got some very cool signed baseballs here. Michael Conforto also have his signed jersey, thanks to my buddy Grant. You know who Grant is. What a beauty he is. Also have some other signed baseballs here. I have Mr. Tom Seaver. No, I'm not bluffing. This is actually Tom Seaver ball signed right here. Amazing stuff. I also have Doc, which is out of the frame at the moment. I also have another signed ball here as well. That's by Straw. 86 theme. Very, very sick. Very cool stuff there. Very grateful for them all too, because they've been gifted to me. The balls, all that stuff has been gifted to me from followers on the channel over the years, which I'm very humbled and grateful for. Let's see here. 18 and 19. Thank you. Yes. That 19 season, oh my God. Diaz's first year blew every save, yet we still saw dominance from Jacob deGrom every single time he was out there. Very frustrating. Crazy thing, too, knowing that Jake had the dominance that he had in both 18 and 19, when he didn't even have his purest form of dominance, Arsenal-wise. He didn't start touching triple digits consistently until he really started to break down 2021, 2022, 2023, etc. So it's crazy stuff. It really is. I have a Nolan Ryan autograph card. Very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are the best. Do I believe Acuna will be called up at some point this season? 1,000%. I do, actually. Yep, I really do. Unless he drastically underperforms, I think he'll be there. Update on our ace. Our ace and Kodai Senga is still working his way back. He has been throwing of recent that we have seen at Citi Field and other places, but that's really the latest update on Kodai Senga. It's at his own pace right now, so wouldn't expect him back any earlier than, post-All-Star break right now. It just seems like the writing's on the wall at the moment. Francisco Rodriguez Cordero, my man with the $5 holla. Thank you so much. Stopping by to say WWW. Yes, sir. We love to see it. Francisco, thank you for the donation, brother. Great member. Still needed like 10 in a row to get out of the mental ward and out of this medicated depression. I love that. I love that wordplay. Holy shit, Francisco. Thank you for the donation. That couldn't be more accurate, my friend. Yes. Can you please get on a winning streak so our depression can end? And most of us Mets fans are barely even half joking. We're so emotionally attached to this Mets team that we really are faltering, and we really are faced with our demise when our favorite team is not playing well. I miss Prime Jake too. We all do. Again, that's a discussion for another day. But everybody, Francisco, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. I thank you all so much for watching, folks. We're going to wrap up the live show now, everybody. I'm actually starting to lose my voice, so that's perfect time to wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, the Mets win in dominant fashion by a final score of 9-1. They hope to continue their winning ways this weekend in London against the Philadelphia Phillies. So until then, everybody, be on the lookout either tomorrow or at absolute latest sometime on Friday, we will be live for a series preview show breaking down everything that there is to know in the Mets' 2-game slate against the Philadelphia Phillies, so be on the lookout there. Maybe even bring on a special guest. We'll just see how schedules are, because I know a lot of my friends are attending that series as well, so it might be harder to do on their end. But be on the lookout, everybody. Should have a pre-recorded video out too, barring any changes in the next 24 to 48 hours. So have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. The Mets finally get a series sweep, and they look for more